Hey guys, it's me, the guy that many suspect is just another PO in a golden armor, or Alfarius, one of the two. Once again, this intro is to waste a bit of YouTube's time because of their guidelines on language and such. Unfortunately, once again we had to censor some stuff, but a lot less than previous videos. Weirdly. Either way, we censored only the most egregious moment that we could not upload on YouTube as they were. Now, just to remind you, the video you are going to watch right now is a montage of the best and funniest moments of the Lord Destroyer series. All the episodes of the series are available in full length on our Patreon, and by the time you are watching this video, we are on episode 59. This video in particular will cover moments going from episode 17 to 20. And keep in mind that every episode goes from 1.5 to 3 hours long, and you are watching just some parts of it. If you want to see the full uncensored and unedited episodes, you just need to join our Patreon at least on the PO servo level, and you get access to all of them, and be able to join them live every time we record them. You can even find us on Twitch, and we are not only streaming 3 days a week, but we're also frequently playing with viewers. So if you want to come by and say hi, you can find us on Twitch under the username ThePontificate. The link is in the description, together with the link of our merch shop where you can find a lot of PO-inspired products or even joke gifts for friends. Hope to see you on Twitch. We are now back after a small hiatus from streaming, so time to get back to the usual routine.
An exhausting, cataclysmic lore reveal taking place over the course of 2 whole paragraphs in the Worst Codex in 3 whole editions.
Correction, it's 2 pages, so it isn't 2 paragraphs of cringe, it is actually 2 pages of cringe. So, yeah.
I for one...
It's 2 pages, but there are the other 2.
The other 2 are so negligible that, like, it is laughable. The second one was 4 paragraphs, the last one was 1. It is like they ran out of inventive patience for bullshit after Tarovalia Cash.
I have here the sacred text of 8th edition lore, where it clearly says, noble sons. Only men should be allowed to receive the process of arcane genetic alchemy, so advanced it borders and possibly could be magic. And when they...
It is not magic. It is not magic. The process of creation of the Adeptus Custodians is literally called genetical alchemy. It is literally called genetical alchemy. It is pretty much rebuilding an individual on a cellular level from the ground up. It is why the Emperor was the one doing it personally, because it is something extremely delicate, extremely precise, and with an high chance of failing. So, no, it is not magic. The fact that we cannot explain it, the fact that it is not explained to us, doesn't still mean that it is magic. If it doesn't, pretty much general rule in 40k, does it involve the warp? Yes. Magic. No, not magic. General rule.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm saying if it's a stalemate.
Fucking Christ. The connection of PO is a detractor of the show. Every time we have to record, this connection start having easy fits. It's incredible. I will punish PO for this.
I like the fact that no fucking sources anywhere.
Yeah, and being pretty open about their plans to destroy the Imperium with the Black Crusades. Technically, the Black Crusades got retcon too to make Abaddon useful, because in...
And why? What does he mean? Pretty open about it? Yeah.
Oh,
why should they go? No, we're not doing this.
I have fallen to chaos, so don't worry, my fellow loyalist. I don't hate the Imperium. I will not destroy it. Just spikes growing on the armor.
Spikes and tentacles.
This is where I draw the line. Warhammer has always been strict on what is and isn't real. You can't just make something new up and say it was there the whole time, but
he really doesn't realize that his own argument is completely and utterly fucking disingenuous. People are not angry at the retcon for what he did. Well, they're angry at the retcon for what he did because he did it very shittily. Like, it was shitty writing, there is no escaping that. But the main thing people are angry about are why the retcon was made. It is not a reason of the how, it is the why. Everything he's mentioning was done to an extent to better the universe, add new stuff, add new units, add new lore, make things more interesting. Then you get to the female custodians, and the reason for the retcon becomes pandering, becomes politics, becomes the woke movement. That's why everyone hates it, because it is literally the first sign of the apocalypse of 40k.
Hold on, 2 brand new breaking news stories arriving now. Lady D from Resident Evil 8, but Golden, has seen a massive uptick in AI artwork suggestions. Also, local war profiteer and extreme shill Bricky has come out in support of the new female custodes and is already attempting to profit off of the discourse with his new I Heart Golden Mommies hoodie, available for one.
Is he trying to... This argument,
is that?
he's proving himself that he's a fucking shill. The fuck? If this is real, like, he's proving himself that he doesn't give two fucks. He cares about profiting about the hobby. Is this the good point he thinks it is? What the fuck?
Shudder to think what could change next in the major pillars of the Warhammer community. Now that we have all the important news out of the way, let's discuss something more lighthearted. The war in Israel has moved to Iran. What will...
Thank you.
Around me. Not only is this because I make Warhammer content and collect little model toys that make the pew pew noises and roll ones when I need sixes, but also because it is one of the most high profile sequels of the last few years I've seen. Space Marine 1 is a third person action game from 2011. The humorous part of Space Marine is that it's genuinely a rather unremarkable title to the majority of people. It's a relatively generic...
Generally unremarkable. Everyone loves titles. Everyone remembers Mira. What do you mean generally unremarkable? People were
Space
asking...
Marine 1 was still alive after, like, 14 years.
Like, people were asking for a sequel for, like, a decade. What the fuck do you mean unremarkable? It is not Helldivers 1, because Helldivers 1 was unremarkable.
Warhammer, much like Star Wars, is a collection of fantastic things, mediocre things, and terrible things all under the same label. Where they differ is that Star Wars, at least lately, has a significantly larger percentage in the mediocre things category, where
I will say the larger... I will say the larger percentage is more on the shitty category. The technical...
Yeah, it's more shitty than mediocre.
It is not... Mediocre is still salvageable. Shit isn't. There is a reason if, like, Star Wars is not a profitable IP anymore.
the reason for this whole tangent is that while I am often excited for new Warhammer games, I am also rather critical of them, possibly even more so than I am of other products. Because
I am very critical of the games, but not of the lore. They can fuck up that, like, every time they want. Nothing changes. Wait, what do you think the games are built on?
Because I care so much about this universe and those that participate in it, I want it to be a good representation.
I care so much. Being a 40k fan is so embarrassing. I care for the people here. There is a tiny minority that makes me angry, that makes this fandom really have a bad reputation. It is so embarrassing. I care so much, guys. Keep in mind, I care.
Then you return back to the battle barge, get more orders, and do it again. That, for the most part, is the entire purpose of the campaign. It's a COD campaign from 2010. Big, gruff, shoot-man, McGrungy dude are given orders, execute them, return for more orders, and then repeat. And you're probably asking, well, what's wrong with that? Hell, these COD games from back when were relatively loved at the time, and to that I say, not really. Often they were considered the weakest parts of their package, but...
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
The weakest part of the package... No Russian is literally the most referenced scene in the entirety of the COD franchise. What do you mean the weakest? Do you think that in 2010 people bought COD to go online? They do now. They didn't do it at the time. At the time it was... the online was a plus. The story was the main attraction.
Doesn't have that, and it wears very thin over the course of the game's runtime. Which, hey, I mean, we can forgive, right? If the story and people we are playing are a bit better, and here I'm a bit more mixed. I do think gameplay-wise it overstates its welcome, but the gameplay is so good that even while that does happen, it isn't the worst thing ever. But what gets me here is just general wasted opportunity. Like, Space Marines are often seen as boring characters, and for damn good reason.
No? Who the fuck sees Space Marines as boring characters? Who the fuck has read the books and went, oh my god, these guys are so boring. I would like to...
Super Soldier is so fucking boring.
Yeah, I would like to actually follow the clerk, like just the administratum clerk. You know, doing the inventory of an entire planet is actually pretty interesting, guys.
It's hard to make a compelling character when their personality boils down to murder everything that isn't me, and then meditate on how you can do it better.
But that is not all they do. The best books have a lot of internal conflict. Like, oh yeah, all they think about is killing. Okay. Then can you explain to me what the fuck chaplains do? Because many people don't know this, but the chaplains as a unit in 40k exist for 2 reasons, mainly. During the Great Crusade, it was to enforce the Edict of Nicaea. They were created for that. No librarians. After the Heresy, they became spiritual guides for the chapters, even if they were in part already during the Horus Heresy. But pretty much is, if the Space Marines have a crisis of faith, internal conflicts, they cannot decide like how to live their life, they are doubts about stuff, they go and talk with them. They're pretty much the equivalent of Space Marine therapists. Because being a Space Marine is not just, oh yeah, how can I kill this better? How can I... do you see that human? Do you think I could kill it before it even notices? That is not what Space Marines are! That is what Space Marines are for read the books.
I have duties to attend.
Duties beyond this voluntary solitude.
There is nothing I would speak of, Chaplain. I will patrol the lower decks.
I was there to see you succeed in the trials. I watched as you became an angel in both heart and deed. Yet now I look upon a brother that would rather see me a stranger.
We were lost in the storms and are now trapped over this blighted world, kept from returning to blessed Baal. Do you not chafe at this inaction?
Did your service to the Death Watch make you nothing but a weapon, Kazarion? Can you no longer find peace, even here?
What more is a Space Marine than a sword against the dark? The galaxy burns. We face annihilation. I will not waste any more words.
That threat has always been, since mankind first dragged itself from the surface of Terra. But it is a threat we face together.
Hard to make that interesting. Or so I had thought. Right after playing my first campaign run through, I read Horus Rising, the first of...
What?
How long is this video?
What? Sorry? No, wait a sec, what the fuck did you just say?
In 2024, he read Horus Rising.
You read Horus Rising in 2024?
He decided a year ago to...
He's making videos about 40k from years!
Did he make a video about the Horus Heresy?
5 minutes later.
They made videos about the Horus Heresy 4 years ago. This guy has read Horus Rising in 2024, and 4 years ago he was making videos together with Adeptus Ridiculous on the fucking Horus Heresy. Are you for real, Bricky? And it is Space Marine 2 that pushed you into reading Horus Rising? It is literally considered one of the entry points to 40k, and he had not read it.
He read it a year ago.
Till now. And let me just say, Garvia Loken is a badass motherfucker who is the most interesting son of a bitch in power armor I've read in a hot minute.
You didn't even know he existed until you read Horus Rising, so good for you. Good for you that you found a new character. You're a couple of decades too late.
Turns out, you absolutely can make incredibly interesting Space Marines so long as you have the right writer, and Dan Abnett was...
You can make Space Marine interesting. This guy talks of the lore from a good part of Alpha Decade, and he just now realized that Space Marine can be interesting.
At his pace, then. Come now.
Okay, in 2030, we'll find out that the Badab War is a thing. Come on.
Honored to fight beside you both. As are we, brother. You grew up on Calth.
What do you mean Lorgar was right?
Why?
What
the fuck is that?
What does that have to do with anything? Lorgar was right. What do you mean?
Just met this guy, this mission, and he dies as a throwaway character. Then the Rubric Marines arrive, say absolutely nothing, and you just begin combat.
They can't speak! The Rubik Marines are dust! What do you mean they say absolutely nothing? Are they capable of speaking? From when?
Below, which plays into the importance of the black stone used to either amplify or negate the warp. Something that I knew about because of my knowledge of 40k, but I feel like
almost like he considers himself a lore expert. Because there is everyone in the comments of my last video saying, oh no, but he never said he's a lore expert. Okay, explain to me this clip. I swear to God, if he doesn't explain why Calgar was not affected by this, by this kind of magic, I will be very angry, because there is a reason.
this is so fucking funny to me. This Lord of Change, you know, greater demon of Tzeentch, freezes everyone in time or whatever, except us because we hide behind a tank. I guess nobody else hid behind anything. Then Marneus Calgar passes an Ultra Kidney Stone and says, nah, fuck you.
It's the Iron Halo. You can even see that it is creating a barrier around him. It is the Iron Halo that didn't make him get frozen in time.
Behind a tank. I guess nobody else hid behind anything. Then Marneus Calgar passes.
Look, what is this for you? This is the Iron Halo at work.
An Ultra Kidney Stone and says,
the power. You can even see the Iron Halo. It is powered. Look.
The Immaterium. If it is, we must move quickly. To where?
No. Don't pass go. Don't collect your corpse starch. The fuck you mean the warp? Ain't no way you in the warp, because so far your video game.
No way you are in the warp after entering a warp portal.
Ain't no way you are in the warp after entering into a warp portal. I thought it was a portal to Brazil.
I mean, that would be worse.
There are various like testimonies of the fact that you can enter the warp and fight in it without Geller fields. Like, even the fucking Lamenters did it. They were stuck in the warp for 100 years fighting for their own survivals against endless legions of demons. And they came out, a company came out, still alive.
But,
yeah.
This, I mean, it has to be some kind of Tzeentch bullshittery, right? Because if it was truly the warp, we would all be atomic dust in seconds. It's
no, that's not how the warp works. We are not in a warp storm.
One of those types of jump the shark moments that even if you aren't a massive fan of Warhammer, you can look at that and be like, that's not right. There's no way that's right. In fact, it's so not right that I'm almost more keen on the idea that it's supposed to be some kind of Tzeentch shenanigans, and in a way they could write themselves out of it that way, but I can't imagine someone taking the IP of Warhammer and doing a bungle that badly.
I cannot imagine someone taking the IP of Warhammer and doing a bungle that badly. Have you seen Games Workshop?
So many damn odd choices in this game. Why is Calgar here? He arrives for 10 minutes and then needs rescuing.
He's here because an entire mission of the game was reaching an astropath to send a message to Calgar to pretty much tell him, help!
Lieutenant, it should be us facing the Hive Tyrant.
Talassa can handle it.
They have 3 men. We should be with them, but you have us playing courier.
That message has to get through.
It's purely a fan service moment, and I don't.
No, it is set. And even then, the entire ending relies on Calgar wanting for Titus to do some missions, and so he takes him with him. So, what the fuck? This game is not this long. How the fuck doesn't he know the story?
Who the hell was Amura? Apparently, there's like a tiny bit of him in a book somewhere, but I mean, I've read a lot of 40k books, and I haven't heard.
I have read a lot of 40k books. In this same video, I admitted to having read until now 30 books, which for a universe that has more than 700 by this point is literally fucking nothing, and he has admitted to having read Horus Rising in 2024. What do you mean you have read a lot of books?
Why is there that disconnect? Could it be that because knowing 40k lore is basically a job, I've been exposed to so much of it?
Oh, so learning 40k lore is his job now. But he's not an expert, guys. I do this for work, but I'm not an expert. What the fuck are you? Who hired you? Who gave you this job?
And as you level them up, the perks continue to give you more of that. Some of the perks are just pure flat damage upgrades, so you soon realize that the higher difficulties are harder because, yes, enemies...
You soon realize that the harder difficulties are harder. I don't think that needed an explanation. There it is. Calgar passes a kidney stone and says, nah, I'd win. My brother is the Emperor. Do you not see the Iron Halo lit up like a Christmas tree? There is no way he can survive the warp. You had a whole podcast episode about Uriel Ventris doing that.
The truth is, there's no way to settle who would win in a battle of the Talons of the Emperor versus the Grey Knights without it
There is no way to settle it? It's not a fucking challenge. There is a way to settle it. Not even 1,000, because by lore they are not 1,000 at the moment. They're probably less than 500 Grey Knights against the entirety of the Legio Custodes, the Phalanx, the Imperial Fist, the Lucifer Blacks, Battlefleet Solar, Battlefleet Mars. Yeah, you know.
According to both the 5th edition Grey Knights Codex and the 10th edition Grey Knights Codex, allegedly sealed within Malkador the Sigillite's tomb in the Chamber of Purity on Titan is a small locked box, to which only the Lord of the Grey Knights holds the key to open. Within said box is a singular command.
Let's be real though, it is a wooden box. You really don't need keys. If anything, you need a punch, but okay.
If you punch it, it doesn't count.
Hoping that the success of 1 or 2 long shots will offset the myriad of failures that will lead to the death of the human race. The Terminus decree is one such long shot. It's not that Malkador or the Emperor believed the Grey Knights could defeat the Custodes and Sisters of Silence, not to mention the other armed forces in the palace such as the Lucifer Blacks. The Space Marines of Titan winning is likely at 1 in a million, but having enough 1 in a millions is the Sigillite's MO, and always
Yeah, it is the Sigillite's MO, but the problem is the concept of the Terminus decree. What he's explaining makes sense in a way, but it should have been one of the contingency plans on Malkador. In concept, the Terminus decree is literally a failsafe. It is a last resort situation. It is literally the Imperium is falling, we have no other thing that we can do to win, declare the Terminus decree. It doesn't mean that the Imperium could be falling because the Emperor got off the throne. It could mean Fleet Leviathan reached Terra. At that point, the Terminus decree, what use would it have? If it is a weapon specifically against Chaos, in that case it will make sense that it is the weapon of Basilio IV, the Terminus Sanction, the anti-Space Marine virus. But an extremely long shot like this, when it could have been formulated at the time when Terra was falling and Chaos was a threat. But it doesn't make sense for the present time that it is still just that.
I mean, obviously the answer...
How much I love the Venatari. That is a Venatari, I don't know if you guys know what they are.
Meta question. Why the Custodians?
The Venatari are pretty much the jump pack troops of the Custodians. I love them. This is not their normal equipment. I don't know why this one has a Guardian Spear, but they are usually armed with a shield and an Adratic revolver.
I have to say this, you see the fucking design of the head and the Aquila. Reminds me of someone.
The canonical global warriors. The only global...
It's the fucking Space King.
A lot of their training and augmentations has been kept a mystery since their resurging prominence in the lore. But as the Talons of the Emperor, it's always been safe to assume their training and education would be similar to that of the Custodes, in essence being intelligent on a variety of matters beyond just war. Similarly, it's likely that their augmentations and transhumanism matches that of the
They don't have transhuman qualities. Not even the sororitas have them. Like, why the fuck would you genetically modify a weapon that you took because it is already perfect the way it is? They are not there for combat, at least not only. They are trained in it, but they are made to be anti-psyker weapons, not to be warriors mainly.
thanks to Games Workshop's lack of model support for them. The truth is, they have squads for every occasion if need be. No scenario will find the Sisters of Silence helpless under heavy fire, artillery, melee, whatever. Similarly, the Imperial Palace is guarded by the Lucifer Blacks, who we know from Blood Games 2009, the War of the Beast series, and the Watchers of the Throne.
Stop it with the fucking War of the Beast! Jesus! I'm feeling physical pain every time I see one of these fucking books.
Astronomically massive Adeptus Arbites presence, or the hordes of Assassinorum and Inquisitorial operatives.
To be honest, though, I wouldn't count that much on the Adeptus Arbites. There was a specific cult called the Cult of the Hedonic Lord that at one point was taking power around the Imperial Palace and was at war with the Arbites forces. They couldn't win. They ended up going to the Captain General of the Custodians to request for help, and the Custodians pretty much went, not our problem, until their commander told the Custodians that, yeah, do you know that because they have taken the spaceport, they're preparing spaceships to use as battering ram against the palace? The Custodian just froze. We will do something about it. And an entire shield host of fucking Custodians barged into the Eternity Gate, went to the fucking spaceport and slaughtered all of them.
I think one of the things that 40k fans, certainly myself included, are often pretty bad at is understanding that each faction and each faction book, novel, or codex is a microcosm and is written as such, even when referencing other factions. Pair this with the fact that every single faction-specific codex is as much in-universe propaganda as it is information. It's easy.
No, it isn't. Listen, just disband this entire rumor every time you see it. The codexes cannot be propaganda. Because at that point, if they are propaganda, they are automatically unreliable. If he makes the argument that what we read is completely fucking unreliable, then it means that the entire Terminus decree retcon is bullshit. It didn't happen. Why? Because it's propaganda. How the fuck did propaganda end up on the Terminus decree? The majority of the Imperium doesn't even know it exists. The first thing that makes an unreliable narrator or a piece of propaganda is that it must be internal to the universe. Many of these codexes have info that are not available outside, that are not available around.
And that's that GW decided to put some really wacky lore that filled up all of 2 sentences in the back end of the 10th edition Grey Knights Codex. So one of the things in the arse end of the Grey Knights Codex is there's not even a whole sentence. There is a singular one-off mention that the Grey Knights held some spooky things on Titan, and listed among those things are Psi Titans.
Oh, Jesus.
This thing is so fucking shit. The point is that they are not manufacturing them. They can't. And the fact that they are not creating them means that the Grey Knights are literally stole the fucking Psi Titans from the Ordo Sinister. And we don't know where the fuck the Ordo Sinister is at this point.
Well, then we can make an assumption. They stole the Ordo Sinister.
They literally stole the entirety of the Ordo Sinister.
How many bigger guns than the Titans themselves, and
I have a question that may be done, but because you can amplify blank powers, can you technically also reduce it? Yeah. I read it. The weapon also serves as a restraint, dampening the Kulexos' negative aura to allies around them. It is literally restraining their power, just to not annoy the people that are around, or because if they are too powerful, they could literally kill people just by being next to them. So...
to annoy people.
Yeah, can you turn on your Animus Speculum? Why? Because you're annoying me with your aura power. Fuck you. It is literally the element of the fuck you in particular, but for gnolls.
To have the Custodes fight the Grey Knights. I mean, what could possibly be a better distraction than a maniple of Psi Titans wreaking havoc outside of the Imperial Palace?
They will not land.
Removing that they will not land, they will not survive. The amount of orbital planetary lasers, heavy lasers that the Imperium has stationed in the Imperial Palace will mean that the moment these guys even take a step too close to the walls, they will be split in half instantly.
Room is off the table. Let's be generous and assume that the Grey Knights can, all 400 of them, teleport to the entrance of the throne room. Now, the Grey Knights
They cannot teleport to the entrance of the throne room. The fucking Aegis! In addition to its network of walls and gun batteries, the Imperial Palace is protected by a voice shield array known as the Aegis, designed by the Adeptus Mechanicus and perhaps the most sophisticated of its kind within the Imperium. The Aegis is a multi-layered, self-repairing void web that encompasses the whole of the palace, and even slightly beyond. In his strongest area, the Aegis is capable of stopping the penetration of any object above alpha gram, traveling faster than 2 meters per second. While the Aegis is invincible against orbital bombardment in theory, at its weakest outer reaches, slow-moving aircrafts can penetrate the shield and attack its open generators. This is pretty much all covered by the Aegis. This is the Imperial Palace. This is the throne room. The main part they can teleport in? Here. This is a continent, keep in mind.
Versus 400 Grey Knights, psychic space marines who need to fight through these warriors to make it to the Golden Throne.
Okay, but you didn't mention the Warhound Titans that are guarding the gate, though. You said they slain the Custodians. Yeah, but the Titans?
They are not important.
Are they just standing there looking at everything happening and are like, oh fuck, this is the most...
The Warhound...
This is the most interesting this palace has been in the last 10,000 years.
The Warhounds are actually fake.
They're just statues painted like real Warhounds.
I wasn't actually being generous. I was portraying the kind of cross-court, 1 in 1,000 shot that Malkador would know was, at least in some degree, possible. An aligning of stars meant to preserve humanity. And this is why I like the Terminus decree. It may be near impossible. It may even be kind of stupid.
It is not near, it's impossible, and it is not kind, it is stupid. It's not that bad, I must say. He's trying, once again, culture of toxic positivity. Don't try to justify it, call it out. It is a problem of the lore, like generally. You don't need to bend over backwards to make it make sense. It either makes sense or it doesn't, but yeah.
I forgot the Aegis, I hated that.
No, well, yeah, it's not that bad, I must say. He cited sources, he explained the lore pretty well for how much he missed some stuff and didn't include anything about the Aegis, because that would have destroyed his entire argument. But no, it is not bad, I must say.
You see, for those of you who don't know, Angron was originally supposed to be an empath. He was sort of supposed to be a paladin-type unit, i.e., his whole shtick, his special ability, was that he was supposed to be able to take damage from others onto himself and shield them. We don't...
No. This is already wrong on every level of lore possible. What he's saying is true. Angron at the beginning was supposed to be technically a more empathetic Primarch even than Vulcan. Like, generally, he was made for that. He was more of a peacekeeper than a warrior. But it is not something about taking damage from other. If anything, he was able to, like, absorb mental anguish from people, their bad sensations, their bad feelings. So, pretty much, he will make himself feel worse so that others could feel better. But it is not a matter of absorbing damage. If you put yourself between somebody and somebody attacking them, you are as good as Angron then.
Was he forever known as Angron the Coward, he who ran away. And that basically ruined Angron's life for the rest of forever. Oh yeah,
that ruined Angron's life. Not the butcher nails. That ruined Angron's life.
Also note that his legion were also supposed to be a legion of empaths. Because, yeah, something 40k, something...
Instead of Karn the Betrayer, it would have been Karn the Serial Hugger.
Rampaging monsters, only fit to reap blood for the Blood God, and skulls for the Skull Throne. Now that's all the TLDR, right? And everyone already knows that. The thing is though, what people get wrong about the World Eaters is that all they ever wanted was to be loved. They don't want to fight, they don't like war, they don't like killing, and they do not enjoy killing.
By that definition, the entirety, like even the World Eaters are literally the issues, the Legion, in this case. Please, lord me or I genocide your planet.
Khorne Berserkers are not happy, and that's another important distinction. There are no more World Eaters, or there are very, 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 very few left. And those that are left are not Warhounds. They're basically Khorne Berserkers. But we'll touch up more about
There are very few World Eaters, but the ones that are left are not Warhounds, so we are going back to before they met Angron. But what is left now is actually Khorne Berserkers, which are actually what the World Eaters became. Pio, I'm confused. Unconfuse me.
But the World Eaters did not hate Angron. They loved him.
Maybe in the beginning, after a while they started fucking despising him. Like, being assigned to be a bodyguard of Angron was seen as pretty much a death sentence. At the beginning, they loved him. By the time he had killed pretty much 50 of them, they fucking despised him. Like, being a bodyguard of Angron was considered a punishment, because the guy will fight so violently while he was on the battlefield that there was a good chance he will kill you too while he was fighting. Jesus, the lore is all upside down.
And will still follow them anywhere, even at the smallest whisper, at a chance of love, no matter how fleeting, no matter how fake. For to a child, the love of a parent is the only love that matters. And so too did the World Eaters follow Angron into darkness and damnation, even after he became a demon Primarch, and after the
No, the Legion is shattered! The events of Scalatrax pretty much destroyed them! They are not... Jesus Christ, if Lexicanum knows it, I'm going to be angry. Glorying in violence and slaughter, and with no other purpose than spilling blood and taking skulls in the name of their god. After the catastrophic Battle of Scalatrax, they were scattered into disparate warbands and have rarely fought as a unified Legion since. Nobody followed fucking anyone, they fucking ate each other's. Jesus.
and anger. There would be no end for the World Eaters, for if they were to sit at the campfire with their brethren, the nails would bite, and they would bite terribly, and force them to spill blood, be it their own or that of their brothers. The World Eaters did never enjoy slaughter. They enjoyed combat, but in an honorable sense. Even now, modern World Eaters, the only reason why they crave the violence...
No, modern World Eaters enjoy slaughtering stuff. Let's not make that mistake. Present-day World Eaters are the literal definition of slaughtering machines.
But they like combat. Combat means a bit slaughter. I mean, you don't combat and then not slaughter anyone.
over to a life of pain and agony, all so that their father may love them. The pain of it all. We don't often think about...
Look at it, Pio. Doesn't it look like he just wants love? He's telling me that he wants a nag. Doesn't it look like that?
Father, I'm sorry, father.
disgust and disdain. In that sense, they would care about family more than any other legion, even the Salamander.
They will care about family more than any other legions. They fractured...
Dominic Toretto is a Primarch.
Dominic Toretto is canonically a Converser. They hate each other so fucking much that they move war to one another between warbands, let alone against DP.
The Salamanders. Whereas a Salamander will do many things to save their family, they prize duty overall, hence why they're willing to sacrifice themselves. A World Eater was willing to give up even duty just so their father would love them. They gave up their lives, their honor, their pride, and eventually their very souls. All that
is repeating the same stuff from 20 minutes. Okay, can we get some new info, please? Something backing up this theory? An excerpt from a book, a dialogue where somebody says, I just want to be loved? Something that proves that this theory can even be canon to begin with?
I know, I have a theory.
Which is?
If you see this artwork and it's actually scary, this core berserker seems actually Dominic Toretto.
people gravitate towards the World Eaters because of their anger issues. And yeah, that is true. But I feel like a lot more people feel that kinship with them, knowing that the World Eaters are children abandoned by their parent. They spend all of their life trying to win the approval of an abusive parent.
I can understand the fucking statement that they are chill, but they are not fucking chill. They are space marines. I can understand that bit a little bit, but it's just misrepresenting at this point. They are not fucking 80-year-olds.
Or you could be like most children and most World Eaters and fall with your father, not understanding that he never did love you. And that he never would. But most damning of all, it was no fault of your own.
This is a therapy session,
Please,
Jesus Christ.
Please go faster. I think...
let me put it on 1.5, Jesus. If my videos were like this, I will not make them.
You wouldn't have to tell yourself that he did. You are brave. Be not afraid. Be brave. Be strong. Be who you wanted your father to be.
Is this a
and know that while there are those who would
now?
reject you, there are those who would gladly accept you. Whilst Angron rejected the World Eaters, he was one man. The entire legion, 100,000 strong. All of them were brothers, and they did damn fine without their Primarch. Just as you will do damn fine without your dad.
I need love.
Is this a self-help channel or a 40k lore channel? I'm getting confused now.
Yeah, it seems like he's speaking to me now. What the fuck do we want? If you
Okay,
drop a single,
now, because of the claim on Majorkill in his response video, removing that I'm not a drama channel, but he's covering drama.
Oh, not him.
Because of the claim
Not
on
again.
because of the claim on Majorkill that now Easy is better, I'm curious to see a video that it was made at least in the last year.
Okay, a lore video. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
about one of his normal videos.
No,
Of his saying shit.
a lore video.
Oh my god, thank God.
Majorkill versus Warhammer nerd attempts to date 12 women at the same time. Warhammer 40k YouTuber, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus.
Anabolic steroids. We educate our members on the longevity, quality of life, and gains without the need of using anabolic steroids.
At least.
We educate our members on legal peptides get shredded really easily with peptides. They're just amino acids with instructions. People that are after using peptides go medical miracles with peptides. People who've undergone extreme injury or surgery that just won't heal properly undergo medical miracles with peptides. Personally, this is my before and my after using peptides. They
Oh, Jesus. He didn't even remove the videos where he was shilling the peptides after the controversy for real. This video is 7 months ago. When did he actually apologize about it?
work, and since they're literally just amino acids with instructions that tell your body's natural process to do something, they aren't anabolics or some kind of boogeyman. The people that are like, wow, peptides are so irresponsible because they haven't had 100 years of testing behind them. It's like, okay, buddy, you can hobble around for the rest of your life. I'm gonna take BPC for 2 weeks and fully heal from a massive injury, and we'll see who lives longer.
I didn't think my respect for this guy could fall any lower. I was fucking wrong.
Now you hate him more than before?
Yeah, is he literally critiquing the people doubting a very recently created substance that I don't think can do what he's explaining it can do? Helping you heal from an injury in 2 weeks from an injury that was not healing before? The fuck are they, Sensubis?
You don't want to take untested substances? Okay, nerd.
Jesus fucking Christ. I say this as a chemist. If you believe anything of what he has fucking said, rethink your life choices.
Space Marine recruits is about 10 to 12 years old. See, it's not all about genetic compatibility. The Space Marine chapters also want to see some of the potential recruit's personality. They want the recruit to show some fight and willpower to know that it's worth trying to recruit them, as the recruitment process is extremely time-consuming and expensive. The recruitment age can be pushed out to be slightly
The recruitment process is time-consuming and expensive? What?
old. See, it's not all about genetic compatibility. The Space Marine chapters also want to see some of the potential recruit's personality. They want the recruit to show some fight and willpower to know that it's worth trying to recruit them, as the recruitment process is extremely time-consuming and expensive.
It takes a few months to do all the trials and be chosen as an aspirant if you survive. It's not even expensive. Fuck, on Bal, they did it with like literal shit weapons to do all the trials and such, until you were taken off to Bal and for the final stage of the process. A few months to a Space Marines are literally nothing. Later, they probably blink and it goes off. But okay.
Even the Imperial Fist, they recruit from Necromanda.
Yeah, well, the Underhive, to be honest, is a very good place for tough people, so...
Because of its rough conditions, toughening up the youth, alongside the fact that the populations are so vast that the chance of finding a lot of genetic compatibility is high, or a feral or death world, because the conditions are so bad that any kid that survives is automatically a bit of a beast. If a potential aspirant is found, they are kidnapped and taken by the chapter.
Kidnapped?
Kidnapped? No, they
Some chapters do kidnap things, but they are some of the fucking worst ones. The Space Marines of the Blood Angels were watching Dante from the moment he left his tribe to reach the place where the trials will start. So, no, they are not kidnapped. Some kidnap, but it is not even close to the majority.
They've survived vicious trials, seen fellow neophytes die, and even fought in battles as Scout Marines. They are now ready for Phase 16, which is the Mucranoid. This allows a Space Marine to sweat out a waxy substance that coats their skin and makes them massively resistant to extreme temperatures. It can also act as temporary protection from the void. This is often used in tandem with the Sus-An membrane when a Space Marine enters emergency hibernation. Phase 17 is the...
No, it isn't. In fact, if anything, this thing, it is by lore activated by external treatment. So... How in the fuck would it work together with another organ if the only way to activate it is literally that somebody else has to do it? And it is usually done before they go into space combat, because if the armor is punctured, at least their own, like, sweat seals the puncture. This is wrong lore. There is no going around it. What's quite interesting is that the lore errors he has made in this video are also on Lexicanum. I don't think they're actually on Lexicanum. Mucranoid. I'm reading Lexicanum right now. This implant allows a space marine to sweat a substance that coats the skin and offers resistance to extreme heat and cold, and can even provide some protection for the marine in a vacuum, so in space. This can only be activated by outside treatment, and is common when space marines are expected to fight in a vacuum. So not even Lexicanum says the bullshit about being activated by the Susan membrane. That is only Majorkill.
If you enjoy the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up a Custodian Guard desk pad. This is the final 24 hours before these are gone.
Finally, there's no shilling panelist this time. Even if I don't trust it.
Good, last chance, never coming back. And don't forget, you can join the Natty Plus community for free below. Join the Discord forum.
Well, but he's shilling peptides, so... I don't know better.
At least it's bad too, but at least it's something different. It's not really bad, but something different.
But yeah, the video was not terrible, but still, very many things wrong. Jesus Christ. He has done bigger mistakes, but still, this is a level of betterment, making shit up for half the video. Wow.
It's really hard to fuck up something that is kind of written good on Lexicanum, because everything that is written, almost everything that is written of Lexicanum, we got it right. But even something that was written of Lexicanum got wrong. And when he said something that was actually a little bit more complicated, he fucked up everything in the last 40 seconds.
As you can
what
see,
do you mean it was not terrible?
as you can see, has gotten a lot better. This video is 7 months ago, by the way. So, the channel size is whatever, but the video was blowing up. At the end of the day, you can tell he's the kind of person that hates himself and blames everyone else. The response was more so just for reputation protection than wanting to have a stab. Although it was fun having a stab. It's a lot easier making those vids when it's people like him or Gams or whatever, because we are smaller, so he can send his fucking audience of children to harass us. It's just as Circle Jerko said, and now whenever someone will search his channel name, the video calling him a disgrace will come up. So see, he didn't do it even to protect himself. He was trying to poison the well, so he's forever tainted.
So, the lore of Warhammer 40k is huge. The grim darkness of the 41st millennium is relayed to us in hundreds of books published by its creator, Games Workshop, and
Already a mistake. They are published by Black Library. They are Games Workshop property, but they are not published by Games Workshop. They are published by Black Library.
Covering genetically engineered super soldiers, perfidious alien species, and horrific demons from beyond. So, where do you even start? Where do you get all that information, and how do you know it's the right information? Well,
by making a shit ton of fucking research. That's how you know if it is good information. You don't go to people like Arbitor or the other lore. Not even me. Like, people are trusting me with the amount of research we make and such. It is why we put, like, the sources and everything. But how many in reality are going and checking if what we are saying is true? So, you want to know where to start and which lore is canon or not? Do your fucking homework. Don't trust these guys. Don't trust even me.
First, why is 40k lore so big? So much bigger than almost any other franchise or IP? Well, partly it's because 40k was originally written as a setting, not as a story. The setting for a tabletop game. There is no main character or original trilogy of books or movies that this all grew out of. Instead, it was written as a kind of sandbox for people to tell their own stories in. Originally to provide
Not really. It had the capabilities to do that, but even from first edition, it had established factions, story, like characters. It wasn't just, oh yeah, we made Warhammer, now you write the story. No, it is not how it went. Like, even if, like, in fucking the first edition, even the Sisters of Battle fucking existed as a faction.
There are a number of common themes to Warhammer 40k, and it might be useful to take them into account when you're first diving into all that lore. The first one that you will hear everywhere is grim dark. Warhammer 40k is ridiculously, comedically bleak. It's a
comedically is not the word I would use.
I mean, if you find war fun, it's your problem. But,
You will think that will be Pio, not Arbiter here.
Have always presented those wars as ultimately a bad thing. In the lore, even the wars of survival are usually framed as being avoidable, and any glorious heroism is usually some sort of in-world propaganda. All that.
No, it isn't. This is an objectively wrong interpretation of the lore. Every act of heroism is propaganda. Who the fuck said that? Who the fuck even thought about that? You want to tell me, just to mention like the book club that Pio hosts every week, they are reading Rin's World. In a book in a book where, if you want to tell me they are using propaganda, they put into their fucking propaganda that half of the fucking Crimson Fist chapter got wiped out by one of their own weapons that malfunctioned. That is very shitty propaganda, Jesus Christ.
Remember, it's propaganda. Literally a marine waved his hand at a little girl, and another one was like, don't encourage them.
Is leavened by the fact that Warhammer 40k is also over the top and deliberately really silly, full of black humor and satirical references to our world.
No. That was the first edition, and to an exception, some stuff of the second. From the third, you get nothing. In fact, look, what it is showing, I'll let you guess the fucking edition. This guy doesn't know anything but the first edition and the current edition. Anything in the middle for him, it's a black hole. He doesn't know it exists.
Isolated by their distance from each other. Society might work very differently in one part of the galaxy than in another, and news travels really slow, so conflicting accounts are often written off as unreliable narrators or third-hand gossip.
No, that is your interpretation of it. Once more than a source confirms the same thing, it is canon. It is not unreliable narrators. It can be unreliable narrators in case it is established that there can be an unreliable narrator, or there is an in-universe reason as to why a narrator can be unreliable. But you cannot just go, oh yeah, do you see this thing that has been canon for 20 years? It has been reinforced by 27 codexes. It is present in 53 books. Yeah, all unreliable narrators.
Be wrapped up. And that means that a colossal amount of the fan content out there, the conversation that happens on the internet, is theories, headcanon, as people come up with ways to try and make it all make sense.
No. You can research lore. Canon lore comes from continuity and repetition. Let me elaborate a bit on that. Canon lore comes from people repeating the same fucking stuff over years. If for 50 fucking books, for example, the Emperor has been on the fucking throne, then it means that by lore, the Emperor has been on the fucking throne. It is not people making an headcanon and just going, oh yeah, these books said all of this, so the Emperor could be on the throne, but it is all just a theory. That is the interpretation of somebody that doesn't understand how world building and lore fucking works.
Order to these. There are hundreds of novels, some standalone, some sorted into trilogies, some part of a much longer series. All those feature their own cast of characters, from the very highest down to the very lowest.
But remember, 40k has no canon. Keep that in mind.
Should probably have a quick pause here to talk about canon. Again, I've got a whole video on this, but the general rule is that everything with an official logo on it is considered canon forever, even if it contradicts something else. If two sources give contradicting information, they're both right.
No, they cannot be. By design, they cannot be. It is one of the reasons in the newest video I pretty much discarded a part of the story that is written in the book of Garzgul, the Prophet of the Wag, because it was, oh yeah, Garzgul disappeared from Armageddon, but then he reappeared, he allied the orcs again, he wanted to go on the assault of the Hive that they had already lost, he wanted to try conquer Armageddon once again, but then he lost again, and after 12 years, they left the planet because, yeah, the orcs were defeated. Removing that the orcs don't retreat unless the situation is extremely dire, like the war boss dying. The war boss coming back means no retreat at all. But removing that, the lore contradicts the story of Hammer and Bolter and the stories about the battles of Golgotha so heavily because they place Ghazghul for another 12 years on Armageddon, where the story of the first battle of Golgotha happened 3 years after Armageddon. So if both are true, was Ghazghul in both places at once? Is Ghazghul Orc Jesus but for humans?
Or they're both not, or they're differing accounts told by different people in the world, or badly translated news, or just warp magic.
Okay, so his explanation for how canon works is everything is canon, make up as much bullshit you need to justify it in your own brain-dead mind. Like,
Warp
no,
magic.
yeah, warp magic, or unreliable narrators, or maybe the writer that day was on drugs. That since CSGO is not actually out of the possibilities. This is the standards these fucking people have for a universe with a narrative. The standards is make stuff make fucking sense. Oh yeah, that other video Arbitor made calls out Warhammer and Majorkill. For being inaccurate, I hope.
Wait, sorry, he calls out Majorkill, and Majorkill said he's uncontroversial? Sorry, what?
I mean, Arbitorian uncontroversial is already a fucking affront to reality. But if Arbitorian actually called him out, this will be the funniest moment of 2025 for me. If this is true, and Majorkill went, oh no, the uncontroversial Arbitorian after Arbitorian was like, yeah, I don't like you, Majorkill, that will be funny as shit.
Narrators do have a vested interest in getting you to click on the thumbnail, which means they have a vested interest in making everything sound either way more important or way simpler than it really is. There are
yeah, everyone says bullshit about the lore and they're entertaining. I called them out for saying bullshit about the lore and I'm the bad guy. Interesting how that works.
It's anti-Italian discrimination.
For it's down in the description, but generally there are a few things I tend to watch out for that might be useful. First, if you're a new player, I'd avoid anything with the word theories in it. If you're just getting into the lore, then the last thing you need is people's personal headcanon. There are...
And with this I agree, because if you're a new player, you don't want to learn the theories, you want to learn the lore, so avoid the theory videos.
A few channels based on either...
Arbitorian, you're a fucking hypocrite. Literally every single video we watched, you suggest something, and then after some time you explain your own headcanon, you say that as an objective truth.
Technically, for the fact that everything is written by a reliable narrator, as he said before, everything is a fucking theory. Every single lore video is a fucking theory. None of them is official canon.
In a sort of perpetual grey area. No story is ever completely finished. Nobody is the good guy or the bad guy. The galaxy is vast.
That's not what the lore. That's not what the lore says. But okay, the Arbitor.
The Heresy ended, from what I know.
Yeah, no lore is ever completed. The Horus Heresy ended. The Macarian Crusade ended. The Hellstreach Crusade ended.
Anyway, you know, just be aware of that. So there, if you're just getting into 40k lore and you're trying to vaguely attempt to make sense of it all, hopefully that will help. It's an incredibly rich universe, but it isn't as much of a polished product as some other universes. It's written by a load of people having fun. The secret to engaging with it is accepting the fact that, just like in the real world, you can't know everything, you can't read all of it, and often it's just not going to make sense. You just have to go with it anyway.
If you have shit taste, that is. If you have zero standards whatsoever, it might not make sense, but you just need to go with it. What a shitty lesson to teach to people. This video covered the Lord Destroyers episodes that were made directly after the release of the YouTuber's video on the channel. You can see many references to the reaction to it throughout the episodes. I will say, I am very curious to find out what all the people angry about that video will say for this episode, which has further proof that we were right on everything. As usual, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and check out our serious lore videos. And if you want to watch the full episodes of Lord Destroyers, once again, join our Patreon, our Subscribe Star or our Ko-Fi. Lots of lore to learn and lots of wrong videos to correct. We also hope to see you in our chat on Twitch. If you want to see serious lore experts play Warhammer 40k games, you know where to find us. You might even end up playing with us. And give an eye even to the shop, even just for a laugh at some merch. See you for the next lore video, which is Vrax 3. Noticing a pattern yet?